welcome to the Collins Family Softball Complex on the campus of the University of Tulsa for this afternoon's game featuring the UCF Knights and your Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Here's the starting lineup first for the Knights in left field. Number 15 leading off, Linnea Goodman. Batting second, playing center field, number 6, Megan Greenwell. Catching and batting third, number 21, Cassidy Brewer. At third base and batting fourth, number 44, Courtney Roten. In right field and batting fifth, number 5, Willow Kalanick. At first base and batting sixth, number 7, Jasmine Esparza. Designated player batting seventh, number 22, Kyra Clarkowski. At shortstop and batting eighth, number 2, Brittany Solis. At second base and batting ninth, number 18, Aubrey Johnson. And pitching today's game, number 27, Aaliyah White. Assistant coaches are Kaylee Novak, Corey Hill, and Tiffany Jordan. And the head coach of the Knights, Renee Lures Gillespie. Starting lineup for your Golden Hurricane. In left field and batting first, number 55, Julia Hollingsworth. At third base and batting second, number 20, Maggie Whippy. At second base and batting third, number 17, Morgan Neal. In right field and batting fourth, number 5, Maddie Whippy. At first base and batting fifth, number 6, Tori Stafford. Designated player batting sixth, number 15, Haley Bynum. Catching and batting seventh, number 22, Riley Spell. At shortstop and batting eighth, number 2, Shannon Hughes. In center field and batting ninth, number 12, Shelby Estacado. And pitching today's game, number 25,
We join you from beautiful Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's a great day for softball at the University of Tulsa, as today it's American Athletic Conference softball action. UCF, the Knights, taking on the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. And we join you as the backdrop is McFarland Library here on the campus of the University of Tulsa. I'm Bruce Howard along with Sydney Gearbrack, and no question about it, when UCF and Tulsa play, it usually means something like a championship. Unfortunately for UCF, it does not mean a championship because Tulsa's already wrapped it up. That's unusual. So what's UCF playing for today?
Well, you know, it's going to be important for UCF to remember that they're still playing for a second, third, or fourth seed, depending on how they do this weekend. Now, Tulsa still has a lot to play for, even though they've locked up the regular conference championship. They have a lot going for them in terms of RPI, looking to win and get that automatic bid to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, John Barfeld's club is 14-1 on the year, and they have one of the best pitchers in America, Emily Watson, 25-3. She has been outstanding, and she strikes a whole lot of hitters out. How does UCF approach it? What's the key for UCF in this?
It's going to be important for them to strike early and strike often. You're going to need to set Watson off balance by hitting early in the count and making sure that you know what pitch you're going into and what you're going to be choosing going into every at-bat.
And if the Knights do that, it may be Linnea Goodman, who is the leadoff hitter and one of their best hitters, isn't she?
Absolutely. Linnea Goodman leading off for this UCF team. Really important for her to set the pace for the Knights. She leads in 4 offensive categories for this UCF program in left field for them and has been a starter all 4 years. So definitely somebody to watch on the UCF side.
And on the Tulsa side, offensively, led by Julia Hollingsworth. She's been outstanding.
She has, and another left fielder actually moved from right to left field. She leads the conference in top 5 in 5 different offensive categories in the American Athletic Conference. So another catalyst player to set the pace for the Golden Hurricane.
Should be a great one. It's UCF taking on Tulsa here on the American Digital Network. American Athletic Conference softball coming up next.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Along with former Houston Cougar Sidney Gearbracht, I'm Bruce Howard as we get ready for softball between Tulsa and UCF. And there you see one of the best pitchers in America, Emily Watson. She has been tremendous this year for Tulsa. 25-3, leads the league in wins, leads the league in earned run average at 1.02. She's been really special this year, hasn't she, Sidney?
She has. She has been solid all year long and actually surprised her coaches with how much she's improved as the season has gone on. They were unsure how they were going to get wins because they struggled in the first couple tournaments, but Watson has certainly found her stride.
And first ball hitting, Linnea Goodman popping one out into shallow left field and into foul territory goes Shannon Hughes, and the shortstop picks it off. One pitch and one out for Emily Watson, and she's used to 3 pitches or 4 pitches or 5 pitches and getting strikeouts, but she'll take that, right?
Absolutely. The less pitches she has to throw, the better. Linnea Goodman really needing to set the pace for this UCF offense.
And you mentioned that at the outset. You know, be aggressive early in the count because Watson throws strikes, right?
Absolutely. And with a pitcher like Watson, the more momentum she gets and the further through the game she gets, the better she's going to get. So it's going to be important for UCF to know what pitch they're choosing and swing early and swing often.
Here's Megan Greenwell, the junior out of Miami, Florida. Tremendous speed and takes a ball for a count of 1-1 strike. She has really been ensconced into that number 2 position for head coach Lourdes Gillespie. And Renee is saying beforehand that, you know, they've messed around with the number 2 hole, but this young lady has really solidified that number. And that's a slow roller. Tough play for Maggie Withy. She'll just eat it. And it's a base hit for Megan Greenwell, and you talk about that's that speed we talked about.
Absolutely, and that's pretty characteristic of the UCF offense, being able to work in quick lefty hitters and slappers.
Greenwell came in hitting .250, but she has 28 stolen bases on the year in 29 attempts. And now Cassidy Brewer, leading RBI producer for UCF, comes to the plate with a .358 average and 31 RBIs. Watson pours in a strike, 0-1.
And again, Bruce, we're seeing Watson's dominance early in this game, making sure that she's throwing strikes early in this count, not giving the UCF offense any room to breathe.
Yeah. Well, Watson on the year, 296 strikeouts. That's 3rd in the nation, tops in the league. 42 walks. That's a tremendous walks to strikeouts ratio, isn't it?
Absolutely. But, you know, she has a great opponent here in Cassidy Brewer. She was freshman of the year last year in the conference, and she drives that ball back.
Hit well, but back is Hollingsworth, makes the catch. 2 down here in the UCF first inning. And you have to be impressed with the Knights' aggressiveness offensively. Even though they haven't been able to score a run here, they're certainly going after Emily Watson, aren't they?
Definitely making sure that they're getting every cut in, right? So it's so important as a hitter to go into your at-bat with an aggressive mentality, making sure that you're able to get those 3 cuts in, not getting cheated at any moment.
Runner is going. The pitch to Roten was a strike, but that's a stolen base for Megan Greenwell. That is stolen base number 29 for Greenwell. And she's in scoring position.
And Spell getting off of that throw a little bit, but Greenwell is safe, maybe getting that 29 stolen bases out of 30 attempts.
And now she's in scoring position, and many times against Emily Watson, runs are hard to come by, and if UCF can get one here early, it'd be huge. Roten pops this one up on the right side. Neal and Withy. And Maddie Withy comes in, makes the call, makes the catch. And so Watson pitches out of trouble. And we go to the bottom half of the first inning. UCF has not scored. Tulsa coming to the plates.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. the opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
UCF threatens but does not score in the top half of the first inning. And there's a good look at Aaliyah White, the starter for UCF, a young freshman, 17-13 on the year, ERA at 3.53. This will be her 27th start, her 35th overall appearance, and a young pitcher, Sydney, that's really come along and has improved for the coach.
She has, absolutely. Aaliyah White being one of those pitchers, following in Mackenzie Audis's footsteps, went to the same pitching coach from the same area, has a changeup, a screw, a rise, and a drop. She's never going to overpower these Tulsa hitters, but she is going to use her changeup in order to keep them off balance.
Here's the starting lineup for the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. We mentioned Julia Hollingsworth. She is in the top 5 in 5 different categories in the American Athletic Conference. Obviously, Maggie Withy has been one of their all-time greats. This is not a power-laden Tulsa team, as you've seen in the past, but they do have some pop.
They absolutely do. Hollingsworth leading off for this Tulsa team. As we talked about earlier, how important she is setting the pace for the offense. A lot of parallels between she and senior Linnea Goodman for UCF.
Yeah, no doubt. Julia Hollingsworth is batting .383 on the season. That is 5th in the league. As we mentioned, those numbers, number 1 in the league in runs scored at 43, number 3 in hits in the league, number 5 in RBIs, and number 4 in stolen bases. She's an all-around offensive player, isn't she?
She can do it all, and that's going to be really important for Tulsa, especially as she's coming in as a junior.
And she takes a ball from Aaliyah White. Aaliyah had the win on Wednesday for UCF, pitched 7 innings and allowed 5 hits and 1 run in a 6-1 win over Bethune-Cookman. Now then UCF played a second game. It was a doubleheader, and Aaliyah got the save, pitched the last inning. That's in there for a strike, 1-1 count. Head coach Renee Lewis-Gillespie said White has made great progress, and she sees a lot of similarities to the freshman Allison Kime and in the freshman Mackenzie Audis. Sees a lot of those great pitchers were about at this same level when they were freshmen.
Absolutely, and White is going to be one of those pitchers that is going to progress throughout her career. Again, same thing with Mackenzie Audis, but White has been the first to say, you know, I am just a freshman and I'm doing the best that I can, looking to hone in on the precision of her pitches and making sure that she does get ahead in counts. That's going to be incredibly important for her. Already 4 pitches to Hollingsworth.
You know, you mentioned all of the pitches that she throws. Her changeup may be her best pitch.
Absolutely.
Hollingsworth taps it to first base. Esparza taking care of that for UCF. 1 down in the Tulsa first inning. Maggie Withy will be the batter. Maggie on the season is hitting .366. 23 runs, 4 doubles, a triple, no home runs, and 17 runs batted in. White misses with that one, and it's 1-0. But you mentioned she has the drop, the rise, the curve, kind of a screwball, and that changeup. And it's remarkable that a young pitcher has that many pitches, huh?
Absolutely, and she's never going to overpower offenses. Like I said, she's really going to have to rely on the precision of her pitches, getting ahead in counts, and then keeping them off balance with that changeup, being able to throw it multiple times in an at-bat, and it's still being effective every time she can throw it.
There's no score here early, bottom of the first, Tulsa and UCF. And these two programs have played some tremendous games in the past. This is game number 36 between the two, with Tulsa leading the all-time series 20-15. But as we mentioned at the outset, usually when Tulsa and UCF play, it means something in the league. There's a tapper towards short. Solis, though, gets it on the big hop, 2 down. Brittany Solis is so solid at shortstop. You consider a young lady that makes every play, and has made only 4 errors at shortstop this year.
Well, and I will tell you, Solis has come a long way, really cleaned up her defense as she's progressed through this UCF program. Really great to see that she's having a standout senior year and really holding it down over there in shortstop for the Knights.
Morgan Neal, the hitter. Neal, the number 3 hitter for head coach John Barfeld, and Morgan batting at .289. She's starting to hit the ball a little better. She was a .300 hitter a year ago. Kind of had a slow start this year, but she's coming on for Tulsa. And she wraps that one to second base. Aubrey Johnson takes care of it for UCF. A very clean inning for Aaliyah White. And we have played 1 inning, no score with UCF, the only hit of the ball game. Back with more on the American Digital Network from Tulsa.
Access to traditional prosthetics for kids is challenging. At Luminous, my goal is really to give them a chance to chase their dreams and to instill confidence so that they can go after whatever they want.
De ver o sonho meu, do meu filho, sendo realizado. Isso não tem preço.
The labs at UCF were so instrumental. I couldn't be in a better place. This is where I call my home.
When it comes to learning at Tulane University, there are no boundaries. Architects and scientists in New Orleans, doctors and public health experts in Africa, history and language scholars in Latin America, legal students and professors in Europe, business students in Asia. Tulaneans are all over the globe, and the world is their oyster. We've got that, and a lot more, right here at Tulane University.
There's a shot at the Tulsa outfielders, and there's number 12, Shelby Estacado, outstanding player for John Barfeld's club. And here is Shelby Estacado just a few days ago at the Golden Cane Awards. It's kind of their all-sports banquet here at the University of Tulsa, performing a Hawaiian dance. It's amazing how talented some of these young athletes are, huh?
Absolutely, not just softball players here at the University of Tulsa and in this NCAA Division I level. So many athletes being able to do it all, being the student and the community contributor as well as the softball player.
Willow Callanan to lead it off here for UCF in inning number 2 against Emily Watson. And there's a bouncer back to the mound. Watson has it, flips, 1 down. And the interesting thing is, Estacado is from Nevada. And you would wonder, what is the connection to Hawaii? Well, her father, Daniel, is a Hawaiian of Portuguese descent. And so then you kind of scratch your head and you're going, what are Portuguese doing in Hawaii? There is a story to that. And there is a certain percentage of Hawaiians who are descendants of Portuguese immigrants. And Shelby is part of that and really loves the heritage. She's done a couple of different hula-type dances during some of the performances at that event. But in the late 1800s, Portuguese immigrants to work sugarcane industry went to Hawaii. So there's a certain percentage of them. And Daniel Estacado is the dad. That pitch is a little bit high. Other Hawaiians of Portuguese descent, Shane Victorino. So you start to think about why are the kind of Hispanic Portuguese type names coming out of Hawaii. Sid Fernandez is from Hawaii. Kurt Gouveia, all Hawaiians of Portuguese descent. And the one that really baffled me, Billy Martin, the former manager of the New York Yankees, born in California, but his dad emigrated from Hawaii to California. And there's ball 4. And that's your history lesson today about the Hawaiian Islands and Shelby Estacado.
And Estacado coming a little bit away from home in Nevada, has done a great job for this Tulsa team, moving from shortstop to center field, 2 of the arguably most athletic positions there on the field. One of Coach Barfeld's philosophies on recruiting is that he's looking for shortstops to play all over his infield, and then he's looking for center fielders for outfield.
And the freshman Esparza just drew a walk from Emily Watson, and she's aboard here. And again, second straight inning that UCF has a runner aboard. Yeah, I think you make a good point. I think all coaches are looking for athletes to play, and Tulsa's defense has improved as a result of having athletes on the corner and some other areas.
Exactly. And that's another one of the things every Tulsa coach was quick to boast about their team, how athletic they are all across the board.
Kira Klarkowski pops this one foul to the right. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Emily Watson has had a habit of getting a lot of strikeouts early in the game. She might have 5, even 6 strikeouts in the first 2 innings. Today's been different, though.
Well, and UCF has come prepared. We talked a little bit earlier about how important it was for them to hit early and hit often, make sure they're getting their swings early in the count, and they've done just that. Watson a little bit, I wouldn't necessarily say off her game, but she's throwing more pitches than she's used to throwing, of course, and we're seeing her throw a couple more balls as well.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Klarkowski, who is the DP. She's out of Palmetto, Florida. And she cannot check her swing on that one, and that is a tough pitch to lay off. And it is strike 3. That's the first strikeout for Emily Watson, her 297th of the season. Why is it so hard to hold off on that?
Well, one of the things that Watson does well is her ball breaks late, and she throws hard. And a lot of times with her rise ball, sometimes she's actually able to take a couple miles an hour off. And that makes a big difference when you're expecting something to come in hard, and she just takes a little bit of speed off, and that change in velocity can throw you off just enough as a hitter.
Here's Brittany Solis for UCF. Solis on the year hitting .226. Such a tremendous ambassador for UCF softball, Brittany Solis. Swings through that one, 0-2. And this is the position where Emily Watson has been used to having all years, 0-2, 1-2 type count.
And Solis not necessarily having her best offensive year, but definitely a great defensive contributor for this UCF team.
Still no balls and 2 strikes. As again, Emily was trying to get Solis to go after that high one, which, again, as you mentioned, with that movement, by the time it gets to the plate, it's generally out of the strike zone, isn't it?
Absolutely. It bites very close to the plate. That late movement makes all the difference.
And you saw 2 straight pitches there. One was the rise ball that she fouled off back. That next one was a drop ball. And just shows you the different types of pitches Emily Watson has.
Well, and what's great about Watson is that she's really relied on the other pitchers in the bullpen to make her other pitchers, more effective. She said, how are you throwing that drop ball? How are you throwing that curve? What is it that makes it so effective, that makes it your best pitch? Because one of her best pitches, of course, is a rise, and she's been quick to share that knowledge with her fellow pitchers. But being able to rely on her teammates in that regard has made her pitchers that much better.
No score in the game. UCF has had a base runner in both innings so far. We're in the top of the second. Popped foul, and this is a very good at bat by Brittany Solis to stay alive.
And I think you can expect that from both teams, both UCF and Tulsa. Very solid brands of softball. They're not easy outs all through the lineup. And when you have the lengthening of a lineup the way both of these programs have, it can make for a very exciting game.
And again, she pops it foul. And the count remains at 1 ball and 2 strikes. And the more pitches you see from a pitcher, I would suspect as a hitter, the better off you're going to be.
Absolutely. As a hitter, a quality at bat doesn't necessarily mean that you get a hit. You can get a hit and it can be just a little bloop over the head of the shortstop. But sometimes a quality at bat means taking away 12, 13 pitches from a pitcher and making her throw more than she's used to, making her be off balance and forcing her to adjust. And that's what Solis is doing here.
Renee Lewis-Gillespie, you get a good shot at her, the 16th year head coach at UCF. That's a line drive caught by the lunging Shannon Hughes. And UCF turned away again. They do get a base runner on a walk, but they can't move her around. And we head now to the bottom half of the second inning with the score Tulsa 0, UCF 0 here in Tulsa, Oklahoma on the American Digital Network.
Access to traditional prosthetics for kids is challenging. At Luminous, my goal is really to give them a chance to chase their dreams and to instill confidence so that they can go after whatever they want.
De ver o sonho meu, do meu filho, sendo realizado. Isso não tem preço.
The labs at UCF were so instrumental. I couldn't be in a better place. This is where I call my home.
University of Tulsa, a top 50 private institution.
On the west side of the campus of the University of Tulsa, it's Tulsa taking on UCF, a scoreless battle here. The Golden Hurricane is ranked number 24 in the nation. And UCF coming in looking for perhaps a number 2 seed coming up. And with Tulsa's 14-1 record, they've already wrapped up the Conference USA Championship. And we'll address that in a moment as Maddie Withy gets ready to face off against White, and that's a strike. But, I mean, how hard is it to go 14-1 in league play? I mean, that is an astounding record. I don't care what league you're in.
Absolutely, and Tulsa has done a great job, and their coaches have been first to tip their hat to the resiliency of this team. But also they've said, you know, at this point, they're just reminding the girls what it is that they need to be doing, reminding them where their focus needs to be. Coach Barnfield has said, you know, I'm not grinding the girls into the ground. I'm expecting them when the play is live, that they're locked in, that they're playing at level 10. But other than that, he said, you know, maybe the baseball in me, but I want to make sure they're having fun out there. They're enjoying themselves, especially during practice.
Maddie Withy swings through a high fastball, and White has retired the first 4. That one on a strikeout.
An effective rise ball thrown by White. A little bit of a slower bite from White's pitches and White's rise ball as opposed to what we've seen from Watson thus far this game.
White came in with 85 strikeouts, and that ball's hit hard, and it's going to be the first base hit of the game as Tori Stafford, who's had a splendid season, knocks one into left center for Tulsa. 1 out and 1 on for the Golden Hurricane.
Just squares up a ball that just a little bit too much on the White, actually a little bit more on the outside corner of the plate. Pulls that a little bit to left center.
Tori Stafford has had a good league season, hitting over 350 in league play. Here's Haley Minen. Minen, the DP, takes a ball down low. 1 ball, no strikes. 1 out and 1 on for Tulsa here in the bottom half of the second inning in a scoreless game.
Now Minen does double duty as a pitcher and as a hitter. Often the DP for this Hurricane offense.
Transfer from Arkansas. And Minen on a 4-game hitting streak where she's hitting 462 over the 4 games. Starting to hit the ball well. Her average just under 280 coming into this game. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's good location, isn't it?
Perfect location right on the inside corner. One thing I love about both of these pitchers that we've seen so far, they're not trying to do too much, not overthrowing, and that can be characteristic in a freshman pitcher, especially going up against a team like Tulsa.
The 1-2 is away, and now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Haley Minen out of Houston originally, went to Arkansas, and then transferred to Tulsa. Pitched and hit at Arkansas as well. And that is strike 3. Again, good movement. Looked like a drop ball.
And a drop ball on the outside corner it was. As you can see with the ending of her hand motion, just flips that ball over as hard as she can. Ends a little bit more on her front foot. You could argue, like we talked about, as a hitter being front-sided, that's a front-sided pitch.
Riley Spell. Throw to first is late. They almost got Tori Stafford down there. Riley Spell is the hitter. The pitch, I believe, was a ball. And so what's the release like for a rise ball? It's different, obviously.
Yes, so on a rise ball, you're going to be a little bit farther on your back foot and relying on really using your thumb in that instance to almost spin the ball backwards. A lot of drills that you do for a rise ball, you're going to be spinning the ball backwards into a bucket. If you're doing something while you're standing stagnant, maybe a warm-up drill for that, making sure that you are getting underneath that ball the best that you can.
So it's all on the release, huh?
Absolutely. We'll release in body position.
And where your body is. Mm-hmm.
So right here we're seeing a screwball. As you can see, she no, Aaliyah White steps out on almost every single pitch, but there she misses a little bit with her screwball.
That ball is hit well. Back is Greenwell. She won't get it. It's a home run. Riley Spell, who has been hot lately for Tulsa, knocks one dead center for a home run for Tulsa. Spell with her 5th home run, now tied for the team lead. And Tulsa has a 2-0 lead, and that one a little bit out over the plate, and Riley didn't miss.
Next up, Shannon Hughes.
Let's take a look at that again. She gets every bit of that ball. And that is over the fence. A great piece of situational hitting there for Spell.
You know, I thought initially it might have been down center cut, but it was a little bit on the outside of the plate, wasn't it? She went out and got it, didn't she?
She did.
There's the changeup and in for a strike to Shannon Hughes.
Showing that changeup a little bit later in this game than in other games that we've watched White pitch.
So Tulsa on a Spell home run with the early lead. I find it funny, the PA announcer here in Tulsa, name is Larry, when he introduces Riley Spell, he says S-P-E-L-L. So he spells it rather than saying Riley Spell. Everybody's got a character as a PA guy, don't they?
I think it's one of the requirements, especially in a sport like softball.
Yeah, Larry Smith does a good job on the PA here in Tulsa. And has a very curious way of announcing Shelby Estacado's name if you have a chance to listen to that. Oh, Shelby's coming up next, so you may be able to hear it. Shannon Hughes now has worked the count to 2-2. That's a changeup that's popped up. And Aubrey Johnson able to make the catch for UCF. But Tulsa breaks through. They get a base hit from Tori Stafford. And then Riley Spell hits her 5th home run of the year. And the Golden Hurricane has a 2-0 lead as we head to inning number 3.
Access to traditional prosthetics for kids is challenging. At Luminous, my goal is really to give them a chance to chase their dreams and to instill confidence so that they can go after whatever they want.
De ver o sonho meu, do meu filho, sendo realizado. Isso não tem preço.
The labs at UCF were so instrumental. I couldn't be in a better place. This is where I call my home.
University of Tulsa, a top 50 private institution.
Riley Spell's 2-run home run has Tulsa ahead by a score of 2-0. It's a beautiful day here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The temperature in the mid-70s and sunshine. And we get ready to go to the 3rd inning. UCF, Aubrey Johnson, then the top of the order, Linnea Goodman and Megan Greenwell.
A lot of families in the crowd today, especially for the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Tomorrow they will be presented with the conference trophy. Little ceremony for their seniors as well.
For winning the regular season.
Great way to send out your seniors.
Absolutely. And the count at 0-2 now to Aubrey Johnson. Johnson coming into the game 181 hitter, making her 35th start. Been a solid defender at second base for Coach Renee Lewis-Gillespie. 1 ball, 2 strikes now to Aubrey Johnson. And then you go to the top of the order for UCF. And Watson cannot handle it, and safe at first. So Aubrey Johnson with a leadoff on-base situation. They may rule it an error.
She just drives that ball into the ground, but hits it sharply enough for Watson to not be able to field her own position. Unfortunate there for Watson, unable to help herself out there.
They're going to rule that a base hit, and it'll be Linnea Goodman. So out of the number 9 position, UCF gets a base runner here, and they've had a base runner in all 3 innings against Watson. Linnea Goodman fouling that one away, and she swung at the first pitch both times up, hasn't she?
She has, and again, indicative of the plan that this UCF offense is coming in with, looking to hit Watson early, not allowing her to settle into any at bat.
2-0 Tulsa lead, but UCF trying to get 1 back or maybe 2 back, and that one is away, and the count is 1 ball, 1 strike. And this is early enough, certainly in the game, you can play small ball, right? Move the runner.
Absolutely, and Linnea Goodman is going to be one of those players that she's going to be able to do it all. She can hit, she can slap, she can bunt. So depending on what she does here, she's ability to hit for multiple bases, which would put a UCF runner an even closer 60 feet towards home, which they need right now. Going to be important for a young UCF team to respond after those 2 runs.
That ball is hit high, fairly deep to center, but Estacado makes the catch. Just got under that a little bit. Goodman has not hit a home run this year, but she got fairly good wood on that one. And here we go with Megan Greenwell for UCF.
And you can argue that this park here in Tulsa, it's more of a pitcher's park. The 215 center field, 200 at the foul poles.
And a lot of times it depends on where the wind is blowing,
Absolutely.
too. And right now it appears to be coming from the north, which is not the prototypical wind. We see the flag on the pole outside of center field. It is blowing kind of toward right field right now. And a lot of times, especially you get toward the summer months, and it will blow from south to north, and then it changes things a little bit.
It sure does. Makes it more of a hitter's park in that regard.
Greenwell got a base hit, an infield single back in the first inning, and takes a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike from Emily Watson, who, by the way, has won 17 straight decisions. When she lost a game to OU way back on March 8th, she was 8-3. Now she's 25-3. Now she's had a no decision in there, but she's won 17 straight decisions in terms of the 1-loss record to go to 25-3. She has been spot on for head coach Barfeld. That one back to the mound. Watson cannot get it there in time. Well, that's going to be a base hit. And Emily Watson, obviously in a situation where she probably needs to put a little more steam on that throw.
She does, and looks like she was not quite ready to have to field that ball herself, but it's hit off of the end of Greenwell's bat, so there's not really a whole lot of pop there.
And that's a good call. You saw it on the replay. Clearly safe. So now 2 infield hits for UCF, and they have runners at first and second for their leading RBI producer, Cassidy Brewer. Second hit for Megan Greenwell, and it's 1-0 to Brewer. Johnson at second, Megan Greenwell at first. Both very good runners, especially Greenwell. There's 1 out here in the 3rd inning. And Cassidy Brewer, who flied to left first time up, with an opportunity to make something happen here for UCF in the top of the 3rd inning.
And as you said, Bruce, Cassidy Brewer being one of those catalyst players for this UCF offense, has been around this UCF program for a long time. older sister Danielle Brewer played from 2012 to 2013. And she's a gamer, Cassidy Brewer. She's the best pure hitter on the team, has the ability to drive in runs and hit for power. So no doubt, or no surprise rather, that she's in the 3-hole.
Rookie of the Year last year in the American, and that changeup just missed, and the count is 3 balls and 1 strike now to Cassidy Brewer. She's on an 8-game hitting streak here.
And Coach Barfeld was the first one to say, you know, in terms of what we've come to expect from UCF, we believe that they are one of, if not the best, offensive team in the conference. And that's really what they prepared for this week, especially throwing Watson this game, looking to maybe throw her back-to-back to prepare her for postseason, expecting to having to throw her back-to-back in a regional, super regional, what have you, or even throwing her. They've often thrown her from Friday to Sunday, kind of depending on who they're playing. So she's gotten a lot of double game weekends.
Here's the 3-2, strike 3. And Cassidy Brewer thought perhaps it was ball 4. It was strike 3, and we'll probably get another look at it.
And this ball just bites over the outside corner of the plate, and that's absolutely a strike. That's not a ball that you can drop your bat and run to first with a lot of confidence. Obviously, Brewer tries to sell it there, but that's just a great strike 3 pitch there from number 25.
Roten fouls it away to the right. And at the end of that pitch, you could see how Riley Spell was very efficient in the way she was able to frame that pitch. She doesn't jerk the glove back and forth and make it obvious. She's just really strong about the way she frames the ball, isn't she?
Absolutely. And being a sophomore, you know, she handles Emily Watson incredibly well.
Close play at first, and Shannon Hughes gets it done on a humpback liner that went on 1 hop by Roten. And again, Emily Watson able to pitch out of trouble. 2 runners, 2 hits for UCF, but no runs. And Tulsa has a 2-0 advantage as we go to the bottom of the 3rd.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
University of Tulsa, a top 50 private institution.
We head to the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Shelby Estacado lead it off for Tulsa, then Julia Hollingsworth and Maggie Withy here in the 3rd for Tulsa. And so far, Emily Watson has gotten through 3 innings, and it hasn't been pretty for her. She's used to setting people down. UCF has threatened 3 times and has not been able to push one across. And you got to believe the frustration for UCF is that they have not been able to get to Emily Watson at this point with all the threats. And now it'll be up to Aaliyah White to kind of close the door a little bit for a while, huh?
Absolutely, and she hasn't really thrown her changeup as effectively, or really very many of her other pitches rather as effectively.
There's the solid Solis with a routine play. 1 down as Estacado is retired. Julia Hollingsworth is the batter. Ball a little bit off the end of the bat. 2-0 Tulsa. Riley Spell, with her 5th home run of the year, has given Tulsa the 2-0 lead against Aaliyah White. Something along the right field line has delayed play. And I'm not sure what that would be. Oh, it looks like the right fielder, Willow Callanan, may need some glasses, because this is right field definitely is the sun field here.
Oh, the sun is brutal in right field here.
And you've played here. You played at this stadium, so you know.
Yes, it is brutal in right field. And it's important. And I mean, we've had a couple plays out in that triangle between right field's second base and first base, and both teams have handled the sun very well. I'm impressed.
That one punched down the left field line, foul.
A little bit of lefty spin on that. Doesn't allow that ball to stay in between the lines.
Along with Sidney Gearbrecht, I'm Bruce Howard, and we are in Tulsa as Tulsa leads 2-0. Sidney played for Houston, so you know there was definitely a rivalry between Tulsa and Houston. No question about that.
No question.
But there's also a little rivalry between these two, UCF and Tulsa. And it goes back to, it usually does, it goes back to teams that are good that play for high stakes, right?
Absolutely, and it's great to see two of my teammates here today, both coaching for Tulsa, excuse me. Kendra Cullum over there at first base, and then Jelena Schrum, the volunteer assistant.
Doing a nice job for head coach John Barfelt. Tulsa and UCF had played for championships in the past, and a couple of years ago, that really good UCF team of 2015, they won, I think, 53 games that year. Beat Tulsa in the finals. Sam McCloskey with a walk-off home run. I think it was the bottom of the seventh. Might have even been extra innings, but Sam McCloskey gave UCF a victory and denied Tulsa the opportunity to get to the NCAA that year. Tulsa in 2015 did not make it, but were inches away from perhaps making it had they upset UCF. UCF was very good that year.
Yes, they were. That was Mackenzie Audis' senior year. One of her best seasons yet. Actually had a no-hitter against Houston that year in our series against them. That was.
Did you bat against her?
I sure did.
Yeah.
I sure did. Always had a great rivalry with her.
When you had Mackenzie and then Shelby Tournier was a young pitcher on that team, and I believe they were 1-2 in the nation in ERA that season.
Yes, they were.
That ball is hit high and fairly deep to left center. Greenwell and Goodman, and it's Greenwell. 2 down here in the third inning. Both UCF and Tulsa, once they get to the NCAA, generally have to go through a local or regional, if you will, as you see a replay of that.
And that's a great piece of hitting there from Julia Hollingsworth, able to keep her bat, hit the middle of the ball. Unfortunately, not enough power there. A little bit, you could argue, a little bit ahead of that outside pitch. She waits just a second longer and keeps her hands a little bit higher. That's a line drive to the fence, if not over the fence.
That's a hard hit ball, but Maggie Withy will be the third out as Jasmine Esparza made a very nice play for UCF. A clean inning for Aaliyah White, and Tulsa still with the 2-0 lead on the Riley Spell home run.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Access to traditional prosthetics for kids is challenging. At Luminous, my goal is really to give them a chance to chase their dreams and to instill confidence so that they can go after whatever they want.
De ver o sonho meu, do meu filho, sendo realizado. Isso não tem preço.
The labs at UCF were so instrumental. I couldn't be in a better place. This is where I call my home.
Back in Tulsa, the Golden Hurricane of Tulsa with a 2-0 lead over UCF in the American Athletic Conference. I'm Bruce Howard along with Sidney Gearbrecht, and so far UCF has had their chances, but Tulsa took advantage of their one chance, and it was one big swing by Riley Spell.
They have, absolutely, and UCF has done a great job of keeping Emily Watson off balance. But look at what she does well here. Both she and Spell work in unison to get that strikeout. Spell doing a great job of holding and beating that ball to the spot. Hard to do with a pitcher like Emily Watson when she's not only has incredibly fast velocity, but also her pitches move and break very late.
And there you get a good look at how a catcher can help the pitcher with the framing of pitches. Callanan to lead it off, and that's hard hit and a base hit. And that is base hit number 4 in the ballgame for UCF. And again, the Knights with chances here, trailing 2-0. Willow Callanan with a solid base hit to right.
And Callanan throws her hands out in front of that, almost look like she's leaning back to make sure that she keeps her eye on that rise ball, keeps that ball at eye level, also keeps her swing level, and she's able to drive that ball through the 3-4 hole.
And assistant coach Corey Hill has worked with her to make her more of a triple threat sort of a batter, if you will. Always had been a slapper and a bunter, chopper, that kind of thing, and now she's starting to drive the ball a little bit, and you're seeing that. That is actually assistant coach Tiffany Jordan, the first base coach. The bunt attempt, the runner going, throw to second, out at second. Spell with the good throw, the coverage by Shannon Hughes, and Callanan is cut down on the base pass. She is a good base runner usually.
And it's not a great bunt attempt, obviously looking to make sure that she distracts Riley Spell, but doesn't do enough there, and now there are no runners on base for the Hurricanes.
Well, and give credit,
for the Knights.
Yeah, give credit to Shannon Hughes. That throw was skipped in a little bit, and she did a nice job of fielding it and getting the tag down. For Callanan, she came into that particular stolen base attempt having stolen 12 out of 13, second on the team in that category behind Greenwell. That ball's hit well, but yanked foul by Esparza. One down here in the 4th inning. And the count now at 2 balls and 2 strikes for Jasmine Esparza.
Both offenses have had to adjust to, if they're swinging at these higher pitches, making sure that they stay and they keep their eyes at a constant level, making sure that if they're going to swing at that pitch, their bat's level, they keep their hands high. So we're seeing them adjust by leaning back a little bit. It's interesting.
3-2 pitch, nubbed off the end of the bat. And I would suspect keeping your eye level the same would be difficult if you're a slapper and you run up on a pitch.
Well, and that being a slapper comes with its own set of challenges, but you do get those extra couple steps toward first base. So you win some, you lose some, I guess, in that regard.
Esparza with a pop-up. Stafford makes the catch, 2 down. And Kira Klarkowski will be the hitter for UCF. Emily Watson has allowed 4 base hits, 2 base runners last inning in the 3rd. She pitched around that. And a base runner in the 1st, 2nd, and now here in the 4th. But right now, looks like a clean sheet with 2 out, nobody aboard after the throw out of Willow Callanan. Klarkowski struck out swinging. One of 2 strikeouts by Emily Watson. Tulsa with the 2-0 lead on the Spell 2-run home run. 2 balls, no strikes. Solis on deck. Now 3-0. Last week, Emily Watson had her first no-hitter. It was a little bit surprising with all of the success she had. This is the first time she had a no-hitter. And that one is towards short. Hughes with a chance and gets it there in time to nick Klarkowski at first. So the Golden Hurricane again getting out of trouble as Emily Watson pitches again through it, thanks to a throw from her catcher. 2-0 Tulsa.
Access to traditional prosthetics for kids is challenging. At Luminous, my goal is really to give them a chance to chase their dreams and to instill confidence so that they can go after whatever they want.
De ver o sonho meu, do meu filho, sendo realizado. Isso não tem preço.
The labs at UCF were so instrumental. I couldn't be in a better place. This is where I call my home.
University of Tulsa, a top 50 private institution.
There are various places you can watch a game in Tulsa, and this is the right field area, which gives you a pretty good view, and you can also look, kind of get your sun, get a little sun going. You're looking into it there, but not a bad place to watch a game. And if somebody deposits a home run that way, you maybe field it. And leading it off for Tulsa is Morgan Neal, then Maddie Withy and Tori Stafford for the Hurricane in the fourth inning, leading 2-0. Aaliyah White has been very good in this game for UCF, with the exception of one pitch, which, as we talked about, Sydney, was not that bad of a pitch, as Riley Spell put a heck of a swing on it.
She did, and that sometimes it takes one swing to change the game, and Tulsa hasn't really had very much offensive momentum the way UCF has, getting a runner on every inning thus far. But Tulsa was the one who, the team that made it happen. Beautiful pitch there. Not much you can do with an off-speed pitch on the inside corner, except for maybe foul that off.
And Morgan Neal takes a look at strike three, and she looks toward the home plate umpire, Naomi Erdahl. She will lose that argument. And that is strikeout number 3 for White.
Looks like she might have gotten caught a little bit. That looks a little bit too far outside to be called.
Yeah.
Strike 3 to me. Doesn't even look like even a bit of the lace touches the black of the plate, but a call's a call.
Yeah.
Got to make sure that as a hitter, we talked about this earlier in the game, that you take your cuts. You cannot get cheated by things that you cannot control. And
right.
things you can't control are making sure that you have the best at bat as possible.
Here's Maddie Withy, and the count is 2-0 to Maddie, who struck out swinging against White. So White has the 3 strikeouts. She's now retired 5 in a row after the home run by Riley Spell. And that's a 3-0 count now. She hasn't walked anybody so far. And Coach Renee Lewis-Gillespie said that Aaliyah White, one of the things she has had to do in adjusting, being a freshman, is, one, a lot better hitters in the bottom of the order than in high school, and 2, the second time around, college hitters are so much better.
Well, it's not going to be any surprise at this point what Aaliyah White is going to be throwing. It's not a surprise that she's coming in with a great changeup. She's not going to overpower teams again, but people have film on her now.
Right.
They're going to be coming in and expecting what she's going to throw and having a plan, especially the second time through a lineup. So it's going to be up to Tulsa to do some damage here in these later innings, but Aaliyah White also needs to adjust as the game goes on and make sure that she keeps them off balance as well. Absolutely.
So the count goes to 3-2. And that one is outside the strike zone. It was 2 straight changeups on 3-1 and 3-2. Shows you how confident she is in that pitch. A walk to Withy.
And that's a great at-bat there from Maddie Withy. And one of the things I love about the Withy twins is that they're incredibly blunt with each other, and they're very consistent all across the board. But Maggie Withy has been a 4-year starter, and it took Maddie a little bit to get into the starting lineup. But her sister says to her, you know what? If you hit, you're going to play. And that's so true all across the board in Division I softball. If you are an offensive power, they're going to find a way to put you in the lineup.
Tori Stafford with an 0-1 count. She had a single and then came home on the home run by Spell. And now the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. Tori Stafford is one of the reasons that Tulsa has been successful this year. She's had so many clutch hits. A year ago, she hit 181. This year, she's hitting in the 330s. One of the younger players that's made tremendous strides this year. That's popped up. Kind of a tough play in the sun. And Johnson able to handle it. 2 down.
Stafford wasn't really able to do much with that at bat. But again, when you are able to up your batting average by $150, that's considerable.
Yeah.
That's major offensive effort and dedication in the offseason that results in that, and definitely a different approach to the plate than she had last year.
That's in for a strike. Head coach John Barfeld, you know, he knew what he was going to get with Shelby Estacado and with the Withies and Julia Hollingsworth. The question was the other players. Who's going to step forward? And Stafford and this young lady, Haley Minen, have done a good job of stepping forward. Shannon Hughes was definitely a question mark coming in, and she's played very well. The pieces come together in different fashion every year, don't they?
Absolutely. And Coach Barfeld's first to say, you know what, in the beginning of the season, we did not know how we were going to piece some wins together.
And that's going to be a base hit. Minen ripping a ground ball down the third base line. Roten with good effort there. And I'm not so sure even if she catches that, whether she really has a play.
And she chooses a good pitch to rope down the third base line. It's an off-speed pitch, but she's able to get enough of it, hits it hard enough, puts a good swing on it. Just goes to show you that when you swing hard, good things happen. There's a joke that we make a lot as players and as coaches. Swing hard in case you hit it.
Yeah. Well, here's Riley Spell. Speaking of swinging hard, she swung hard the couple innings ago in the second inning, and she is the reason that you see the 2 next to Tulsa. 2-run home run. The only scoring in the game. And now she has a chance to make another mark on this game. Spell was another player that they weren't sure. Was she going to be the catcher? Would she end up taking that job? And she did. And in fact, they were thinking about Maddie Withy behind the plate as a catcher. And Riley Spell was so good that, as John Barfeld mentioned, we became more athletic by putting Maddie out in the outfield. But it takes players like Spell stepping forward to allow those pieces to move in the right direction, right?
Exactly. And once Barfeld and his staff were able to see how their lineup was going to shake out and made those adjustments, that's really when Tulsa started winning and really started getting that national recognition. Let's take a look again at that home run.
Yeah.
And she just gets every little bit of that ball, a little bit on the outside corner of the plate, and she goes with it, ropes it over the right center field wall. So tip your hat there.
Looking at that one again, it did kind of come back toward the hitter a little bit, didn't it? Might have been that screwball. 3-1 pitch, ball 4, and Riley Spell is aboard. And now the base is loaded for Shannon Hughes, Tulsa's shortstop, who popped out to second base her first time up. She's on an 8-game hitting streak. And if you're a Tulsa fan, you'd love to see it go to 9 right here. Make a huge difference in the game. 2-0 Tulsa leading, 2 out, and the base is loaded. And that's a good first pitch.
Bites on the outside corner. Not much Shannon Hughes can do there.
0-1 count to Hughes. Tulsa with their best threat since the home run by Spell in the second. And now a 1-1 count to Hughes.
Hughes using a timing mechanism, a right-handed slap, showing what looks like bunt so that she can stay on time for that changeup if she does see it.
There's a bouncer to shortstop. Solis takes care of it. And Tulsa turned away after they got the bases loaded here in the 4th inning. Good job by Aaliyah White and Brittany Solis to get out of trouble for UCF. So it's still 2-0 Tulsa as we head to the top half of the 5th inning.
Access to traditional prosthetics for kids is challenging. At Luminous, my goal is really to give them a chance to chase their dreams and to instill confidence so that they can go after whatever they want.
De ver o sonho meu, do meu filho, sendo realizado. Isso não tem preço.
The labs at UCF were so instrumental. I couldn't be in a better place. This is where I call my home.
University of Tulsa, a top 50 private institution.
Tulsa has a 2-0 lead over UCF as we head to the 5th inning. Emily Watson, the starter for Tulsa, has 11 shutouts on the year. That's best in the American Athletic Conference, 3rd in the nation. But UCF has threatened in every single inning, and they have put base runners aboard. Brittany Solis to lead it off, Aubrey Johnson, and then Linnea Goodman against Emily Watson. Emily in the ball game has a couple of strikeouts, but many times at this point she may be 6 or 7.
And then another great first pitch there from Watson. Works that screwball low and at the knees.
Solis lined out, hit the ball hard to the shortstop back in the 2nd inning with a runner aboard. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And Brittany Solis is a standout knight on this UCF team. Not only on the field, but off the field, is actually the president. She makes good on that first at bat where she had so many pitches thrown to her, able to drive that ball through the 5-6 hole.
Hit it hard twice.
She did.
And when you said president, she's not the president of UCF, but the president of the SAC, right?
President of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee chapter for UCF. I was so distracted by that wonderful piece of hitting there from Brittany Solis. Good adjustment there from her first at bat and knowing what pitch that she was looking for.
Here's Johnson now. Squares to bunt, pops it up, caught by Spell. 1 down. And now Linnea Goodman, top of the order for UCF. Yeah, you were mentioning Brittany, the president of the Student Athletic Advisory Council, also was part of the homecoming court last year. Really one of those solid citizens for Coach Lewis Gillespie. Pop up right side of the infield. Stafford takes charge.
Linnea Goodman just not able to get it done today at the top of the lineup. We're so used to seeing her be solid as a leadoff hitter. Hasn't been able to do her job today, so going to have to look to the rest of the UCF lineup to pick her up in these situations. Greenwell having done a great job of that thus far. 2 for 2 on the day.
Yeah, and Linnea came in hitting over 370 and on a pretty good hit streak. Emily Watson effective where and when she's had to be, huh?
Yes, and there we see Spell doing a great job of framing that pitch. Again, it's so important for the backstop to catch the ball, beat the ball to the spot, and keep your hand there.
Boy, there's a tough throw to first. Tori Stafford picks it off on the backhand, and Emily Watson knew she had to throw it rather quickly to get Greenwell. She's able to get it over there, and her first baseman kind of bailed her out. 2-0 Tulsa as we head to the bottom of the 5th.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
University of Tulsa, a top 50 private institution.
This is the last call for beer at our concession stand.
Home half of the 5th inning. There's a good look at the dugout of the American Athletic Conference regular season champion University of Tulsa Golden Hurricane. The Hurricane 14-1, ranked 24 in the nation, and already have clinched the #1 seed in the upcoming American Athletic Conference tournament. You see a few UCF Knight t-shirts out there as well in the stands, and a beautiful day in Tulsa. Here's Shelby Estacado to lead it off.
And both Estacado and Solis, the shortstops on these respective teams, not contributing the same way we've seen shortstops on other teams contribute in terms of how effective they are offensively, both in the bottom of the lineups. But they do get the job done on defense.
Estacado had really outstanding season offensively a year ago, has dropped off a bit this year. She hit .329 a season ago and was All-American first team. 1-2 pitch. Went upstairs and fouled that one straight back.
And I might have misspoke on Estacado because I know she's been a key part of the infield, been playing shortstop. Again, we did mention earlier how key she's been to this defense because they moved her to center field.
Right. That one tapped to third. Roten makes the play, one down. Yeah, Shelby Estacado first couple of years was the shortstop. And when Shannon Hughes got the shortstop job, or at least proved she could do it, Shelby went to center field, which again, as Coach Barfeld mentioned, made this team more athletic.
Absolutely, and we see Estacado in a lot of these Tulsa hitters doing a very similar thing with the changeup that White has been dealing them all game long, and that's being way out in front.
Yeah.
If you're on time for outside pitches, you should be on time for changeup. So it's going to be important for them to continue making those adjustments. There's a very good chance that even if they take all 3 games from UCF this weekend, that they're going to face them again some point in the conference tournament. Very hard to beat a team 4 times.
Yes.
I know it's been done before.
Well, in fact, last year, UCF had swept Tulsa during the regular season. Tulsa came back in the tournament right here in Tulsa in the semifinals and defeated UCF to get to the finals, a final they eventually won. Here's Hollingsworth, who's 0 for 2. A late swing and a foul punched off to the left side, 2-1. Tells you a little bit about how well White has thrown. A 2-0 pitch, and that was not a great swing by Hollingsworth.
It wasn't, and that's a hitter's count, and that's really where Hollingsworth should be digging in and getting ready to swing out of her shoes. Putting a great swing on a 2-0 or a 3-1 pitch, that's a hitter's count.
Yeah.
You need to be expecting a pitch from Aaliyah White there that's going to be more over the wide of the plate.
That is a bunt that results in a base hit. And Julia Hollingsworth.
Can't complain about that from number 55.
No.
She can hit for power, and then she's able to drop bunt and bust down that line.
And she kind of tossed the bat out there. I was wondering if the bat was going to hit the ball. And I don't know what the call would be, but there's no chance there. 1 out and 1 on, and Maggie Withy is the batter. Snap throw to first by Brewer. Tulsa just gathered their 4th hit. The biggest hit of the game is Riley Spell's 2-run home run, putting the only runs on the board we've seen in this one. That was back in the 2nd inning. A line shot on one hop, dropped by the shortstop. Solis with a great effort, couldn't quite come up with it. And that is a base hit. That ball always spins away from you off the left-hand bat, doesn't it?
It does. It's so important to keep in mind the spin, regardless of what position you're playing. And Solis just not able to keep the glove on that ball, but an extraordinary effort. Still have to tip your hat to the senior shortstop.
Here's Neal now with 1 out and 2 on, and there's that ever-present changeup, and a good one had Neal locked. 0-1.
And Aaliyah White just fluffs that ball in there. Looks effortless. Lets that ball go. Lets her hand continue and actually lets it come up, but releases it. And a lot of pitchers, when you're learning how to throw a changeup, they say, keep your hand flat. So if you're hitting the top of a table or the bottom of a table, but Aaliyah White follows through with her changeup, and that makes it a little bit more deceiving because that looks a little bit more like a faster pitch.
And that's a pitch inside corner to Neal for a strike, and now it's 1-2.
That might have been the pitch to hit from Morgan Neal because by the way White turned her hand over, that was a drop ball that did not drop. A good spot there on the inside corner saves her in that situation.
A grounder to short, and that one goes over the glove of the shortstop Solis, and scoring is Hollingsworth. And Tulsa leads by a score of 3-0. The runners move up. Maggie Withy to third, Morgan Neal to second, and an unusual play because Solis does not let one go through her very often. I would assume an error to score the third run for Tulsa, and still only one out. Get another look at it here.
She doesn't do too much with that ball, just pokes it out there. Solis just unable to get her glove down on the ground. Looked a little bit like a mental error there.
What about the base running play by Julia Hollingsworth? And I don't know if we can get another shot of it. She slides into third thinking there's a play there, perhaps, and still was able to pop up and score when that ball went into left field. And I'll also add that on the line drive, that's a hard play when she was at first base to determine whether she could make it to second on a line drive that could have been caught. So we've talked about this before, but Hollingsworth is a really good base runner.
Well, and that just goes to show you Hollingsworth having an incredibly high softball IQ, knowing when she can't go, knowing herself, more importantly, where she can run and when she can't. And that's often half the battle.
Yeah. Well, she popped up after sliding and was racing to home to make sure she got home after that one got through the shortstop. So what do you think the head coach of UCF, Renee Lewis-Gillespie, was saying to her pitcher there with this situation?
Well, Coach Gillespie does a good job of keeping her team very even keel. Doesn't ever really let them get too low. They do sometimes get high with their energy. This is a team that's known to be very loud in previous years. Not as loud this year than when we've seen them, but I can imagine she probably went out there and said, listen, settle in, play your brand of softball, stop trying to do too much here.
Line drive hit hard by Maddie Withy, so hard that Maggie's sister could not tag up and score.
Not much you can do. That's a great piece of hitting on an inside changeup. Still a little bit ahead of that ball, but does a great job of squaring it up just right into the hands of Linnea Goodman.
That ball was hit so hard that Maggie Withy could not get back to the bag in time. I'm not sure if she could have scored on the tag up anyway, but 1-0 pitch and wrapped to shortstop by Stafford, and Solis takes care of it. So Tulsa ends up getting an unearned run on a couple of base hits and an error, and the Golden Hurricane reaching their lead out to 3-0 now over UCF here in Tulsa on the American Digital Network.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Access to traditional prosthetics for kids is challenging. At Luminous, my goal is really to give them a chance to chase their dreams and to instill confidence so that they can go after whatever they want.
De ver o sonho meu, do meu filho, sendo realizado. Isso não tem preço.
The labs at UCF were so instrumental. I couldn't be in a better place. This is where I call my home.
At the end of 5, a 3-0 score for Tulsa. The 2-run home run by Riley Spell, and then the error committed by Brittany Solis. Only her 5th error of the year allowed another run to come in, and Tulsa has a 3-0 lead, and now it becomes even more difficult for the Knights as they come to the plate in the 6th against Emily Watson, who on the season is 25-3 and an ERA on the downward trend, 1.02 coming in. Here's Cassidy Brewer, and that's a changeup from Watson that misses. 1 ball, no strikes.
And this is a good player to have up right now for UCF. Really would prefer to have her up, of course, with runners in scoring position or runners in base at all. But Brewer's been known she's a gamer. She's been known to get on base and create some momentum for this UCF offense, as she's done all season long. So looking to do that here in the 6th.
UCF has had base runners all over the place, haven't been able to score them. 2 balls, 1 strike to Cassidy Brewer. Emily Watson, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk. A little bit of a low total for her. You remember she struck out 21 Houston Cougars back on the 13th of April. That's a pitch on the outside corner for a strike. In fact, it was over 2 days. She pitched the first, 8+ innings. The game was suspended in the 9th inning because of rain. She came out and struck out 2 more the next day, and Tulsa won in 10 innings. 21 strikeouts in a game, a new record for the Golden Hurricane, and second best of the year in all of NCAA. But today has not been as dominating strikeout-wise. And that's a ball roped down the right field line, and a fair ball, extra bases for Brewer. Brewer stops at second with a double. And a 2-bagger for Cassidy Brewer to right field. Really nice job of hitting there by Brewer as she picks up her 11th double.
And that's exactly what you need from Brewer there. Floats a little bit too long there from number 25. And Brewer's able to stay on top of that ball, ropes it to the right field fence.
And now
gets things started.
And now Courtney Roten is the scheduled hitter, and we'll get a pinch runner here for Cassidy Brewer. And it is Tiffany Lauer as a pinch runner. So Lauer at second base for Brewer. And of course, with the re-entry rule, obviously Brewer will go back in the bottom half of the 6th inning as the catcher. So here's Courtney Roten, 0 for 2, fly to right, grounded to short. 1 ball, no strikes to Roten. Was a DP early on this year for head coach Renee Lewis-Gillespie, and worked her way into the lineup at third. That's in for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. But another one of the versatile players for UCF, plays third and second, DPs. Coach Gillespie really likes to have players that can play 3 or 4 positions.
And as a young player, the more positions you play, especially when you're getting recruited, the more likely you're going to get recruited.
Yeah, and you have so many that are recruited as an outfielder or shortstop or whatever, they end up at different positions. That's a strike and a 2-2 count. Emily Watson has not been as razor sharp as she has been in some games this year, but she has done enough, and that was a typical example of when she needed to, she got a really good hard fastball inside corner. That time looked like Roten was looking for that fastball inside and yanked it foul. Callanan, their leading hitter, on deck for UCF. Tulsa with a 3-0 lead. And that changeup tapped to shortstop. Hard play, no play. Once that got past third baseman Maggie Withy, no chance at all to get Roten, and here's Willow Callanan.
And again, getting ahead of that changeup, if you're not looking for outside, it's going to be tough to make that be a solid hit. Unfortunately, Maggie Withy does not take charge there. If she's coming across the field, if she's able to decide early that she's going to get that ball, that might be a difference in an out.
Yeah.
A runner in scoring position.
And here's Callanan, who is that triple threat type player. Can bunt, can slap, can punch at it, and also can drive it now. Hitting .429 in American play this year. That's popped up. Will it stay in play? Stafford near the dugout makes the catch, and that's a big out for Emily Watson. 1 down.
And softball is one of those games where we talk a lot about the shifts in momentum, and that was really important for Stafford to get a hold of that ball, get that out there for Emily Watson, kind of shift the momentum back for the defense for Tulsa.
And now here is Esparza. And again, you go back to both coaches talking about wanting to be athletic at the corners. There's at third and at first, you play a lot of bunts. You have to be very nimble in a play like that. You also have to be athletic to get to a foul ball like that. There's a bunt, spinning, fair, and a base hit.
Again, not much you can do on that.
No.
Stafford has to decide there. That's just a great bunt. Executed well, rolls down. There is a chance perhaps that it could continue rolling out and foul, but Stafford has to make a choice there.
Obviously, by the time she picked it up, there's no chance to do anything with it. I'm not so sure that ball would have spun foul, though. That thing was hugging that line, wasn't it?
Again, a great piece of situational hitting, or situational bunting there, rather.
Get another look at that bunt in a little different angle here.
It was a curveball coming from Watson.
Again, right down the line, and again we have assistant coach Corey Hill talking with the home plate umpire, and perhaps we'll have a pinch hitter here. We'll see. But the bases are loaded with one out. Lauer is at third, Roten at second, Esparza at first with a mud base hit. And the pinch hitter is Allie Little. Allie Little, a 5'4" freshman from Hobe Sound, Florida. And she will step to the plate in a big situation with Tulsa leading 3-0. One out. High and outside for a 1-0 count. Allie Little on the year is a .222 hitter. And that's a strike. Little is 2 for 9 this year, so this is just her 10th at bat. But she comes up in a big situation here for UCF in the top half of the 6th with one out and the bases loaded. Now 1-2.
And a good pitch to take a big cut at. A lower rise ball that just, doesn't bite as much as it should. Unfortunately, Little not able to keep her hands high swings underneath that pitch. Now you have to feel for Little in this situation.
And she swings and misses, and that one went upstairs a little bit higher up the ladder.
Sure did.
She just couldn't hold off.
A good working the vertical ladder there by Watson. A good pitch. Another good choice by number 11. Unfortunately, unable to make anything of that pinch hit at bat. A pinch hitter fails 85% of the time. And not having those previous at-bats does put her at a slight disadvantage. If she was a pinch hitter that came in regularly, that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Being one of those 10th or 11th hitters on a team. But with only 10 at-bats on the year, that's a tough spot to be put in. So hopefully the rest of the UCF lineup will be able to make something of this bases loaded situation.
Brittany Solis, the batter, she's 1 for 2. She's hit the ball hard twice to left field. 0-1 pitch. Inside, 1-1. 3-0 Tulsa, but another threat for UCF. They have had base runners galore. They have left 5 on base so far. 2-1 now. That was close, and again, one of those framed pitches by Riley Spell.
Brittany Solis, nicknamed Sully by her teammates.
Actually, this is a 3-0 pitch. So the scoreboard had it as a 2-1 pitch, that last one. So That was a 3-0, and now it's 3-1.
And now it's a hitter's count.
Yep.
Interesting to see what Solis will do here and what Watson will throw.
3-1 count. Popped up left side, foul ground. 3-2 now. Watson, a moment ago with a huge strikeout, her third of the ball game. She's number 3 all-time in strikeouts in Tulsa history behind Jackie Lawrence and Amy Kreger.
And that's a good pitch there. Let's take a look at that strikeout again. Works the ladder with her vertical pitches with that rise ball. Again, takes a couple miles an hour off of that rise ball. This last pitch that Solis got is going to set up a great changeup or another one of those rise balls, and there it was.
Fouled it off at the plate, and of course with 3-2 and 2 outs, the runners are off at the release. That will give UCF a chance. Esparza at first base will get a good jump if there's a base hit in the gap. She represents the tying run. Another 3-2 pitch. Popped foul. And you'll remember that Solis had a similar at bat in her first time out and hit a line drive to shortstop, where she fouled off several really good pitches and stayed alive.
Especially at the end of this game where Watson has thrown 97 pitches thus far.
Another foul away, and Solis really doing a nice job of staying alive. Johnson on deck.
One of the things I love about Brittany Solis is she's an offensive contributor regardless of what she does with this at bat. Even though she's gone 1 for 2 today, had a good day at the plate thus far, has still forced Watson to throw a lot of pitches.
3-2 again, and again fouls it back. So she's at 99. This will be number 100 here in the top half of the 6th inning for UCF.
And Solis is doing a good job right now of being right on time with Watson. She's just missing, swinging slightly underneath. When a hitter fouls a ball straight back, that tells a pitcher that she's right on time, and there might be a time to change speeds.
3-2 again. And it's strike 3 as she blows a fastball by her, and Solis strikes out. And when Emily Watson needed it, she gets 2 huge strikeouts with the bases loaded and 1 out, and picks up strikeouts number 3 and 4. Tulsa still has a 3-0 lead at the end of 5.5.
Access to traditional prosthetics for kids is challenging. At Luminous, my goal is really to give them a chance to chase their dreams and to instill confidence so that they can go after whatever they want.
De ver o sonho meu, do meu filho, sendo realizado. Isso não tem preço.
The labs at UCF were so instrumental. I couldn't be in a better place. This is where I call my home.
University of Tulsa, a top 50 private institution.
Tulsa leads by a score of 3-0 over UCF. Bruce Howard along with Sidney Gearbrecht. And a 3-0 lead for Tulsa, and you might be thinking Tulsa's dominated the game, but UCF has had so many chances. They've stranded 8 runners in this game. Frustrating for them. They'll have one more shot now.
Well, it really comes down to being effective at situational hitting, and Tulsa really has been better at that this game, and sometimes that's just what it comes down to, really effectively executing in the moments that matter. And we're seeing Tulsa playing their brand of softball and doing just that, executing.
And speaking of execution, you know, Emily Watson executes a couple of strikeouts to get herself out of the jam in a really ticklish situation. And give this young lady credit. Leah White, the freshman, matching strikes and strikeouts with Emily Watson. That's a hard hit ground ball to shortstop. Solis bobbles, safe. So Minen And again, very unusual for Brittany Solis to bobble a ball. Her second error of the game and only her 6th of the year.
That ball is well hit. See the arm of Solis there. Haven't seen yet if they're going to give that.
Yeah, I might have spoken too soon. Was assuming an error, but who knows? Here's Riley Spell, the home run hitter. Spell is 1 for 1, a home run and a walk. Her 2-run shot gave Tulsa a 2-0 lead in the second inning. They did rule it an error on Solis. So Tulsa looking for some insurance runs here, bottom of the 6th. Good changeup for a strike to Spell. A little bit of a discussion with head coach John Barfeld and the home plate umpire Naomi Erdahl. And they may be bringing somebody out to pinch run. Yep. For the Hurricane, it'll be Lauren Lomax to run for Minen.
Pinch running for Tulsa, number 8, Lauren Lomax.
Head coach John Barfeld in his 12th year at Tulsa. It's taken the program to 8 NCAA tournaments, and we touched on this a little bit, but both UCF and Tulsa unfortunately have to usually go through, in the case of Tulsa, Norman to get out of a regional, and in the case of UCF, either Florida or Florida State. And so it becomes difficult sometimes to get out of a regional, but Coach Barfeld on a couple of occasions have been able to get to the final game, as has Coach Gillespie.
That's true, and I remember with Tulsa, one time Houston and Tulsa were actually seeded into the same regional in 2014, into the Baylor regional, which I believe Tulsa
got to the final
got to
game.
the finals.
Yeah.
Yep. And Baylor ended up taking that one. I believe that was a great regional tournament there.
Yes. Well, it was Tulsa's closest chance to actually get through and win a regional. They won the must-win game. That ball's hit shallow left field, and a nice running catch by Brittany Solis. And Spell is retired on the pop fly to Solis. But I was going to mention, as you get a look at this is a really nice play by Brittany, isn't it?
Just an extraordinary effort there by Brittany Solis, stretching out everything she has, looking to even try to get that double play. Of course, there really isn't a play there, as she's had to run back on that ball. Again, something that's plagued both offenses is they're not on time for changeup. They're not on time for outside.
Right.
And so they've been getting around these outside changeups all game long and not being able to do much with them.
Here Shannon Hughes takes a ball high. And to finish the thought on Tulsa's effort in Baylor, as you mentioned, Houston was in that regional. Tulsa got a 1-0 10-inning win in the game they had to win to force the decisive game against Baylor.
And I believe that was Whitney Canyons last year, the incoming pitcher for.
Yep, and she pitched all 17 innings that day. High fly ball, right field. Callanan able to take care of it, and there are 2 down. And neither of these programs, Tulsa or UCF, have been able to get that first win in the NCAA regional and the second win to put yourself in the driver's seat. Neither team has gone to a Sunday where they've been the team with the hammer.
Exactly. And that makes a lot of the difference.
Sure.
And especially when you've had to play those extra couple games, or depending on how your seeding has shaken out at the end of the year. Again, so important for UCF here. They're playing for seeding right now in the conference tournament, depending on how they do this weekend. Tulsa, of course, having the conference championship locked up, but Coach Barfeld's the first one to say, you know what? We have a lot to play for still. This season is not over. We have not only the NCAA tournament, but we're looking to win and get that automatic bid. We don't leave anything up to chance.
Right. RPI of Tulsa coming in 28 into this weekend, which is a good position to be at, and obviously at 14-1. And the other advantage you get with the 7-team league is, as the #1 seed, you don't have to play a quarterfinal game. Runner is going out at second. The high tag in time. And Lomax is cut down trying to steal, and the inning is over. Pretty good job by the catcher. Brewer got it there in time. And it's 3-0 Tulsa at the end of 6.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
University of Tulsa, a top 50 private institution.
It's a 3-0 lead for Tulsa over UCF. Even though UCF has out-hit the Hurricane 8-5, it's Tulsa with the key hits to score runs, and Emily Watson of the Golden Hurricane able to pitch out of trouble all day long. She has not had a 1-2-3 inning in this ball game. She has struck out 4 and has walked 1, but the 2 biggest strikeouts of the game came last half inning, or the top half of the 6th, when she struck out Little and Solis with the bases loaded and 1 out. And now she faces Johnson. Aubrey Johnson takes a strike. And now Emily Watson looks for her 12th shutout of the season and 26th win of the year.
Beautiful first pitch there. Low on the outside corner. But not much any batter can do with that one.
And we referenced this before when we were talking about the upcoming American Athletic Conference tournament. With 7 teams, you have 2-7, 3-6, and 5-4. But your number 1 team, your number 1 seed, goes right to the semifinals, which is a huge advantage, isn't it?
Huge advantage for a number of reasons. First of all, your pitchers don't have to make any arm circles to get there. And not only that, but Coach Barfield has said how important it is to make sure that he's not grinding the girls out during this part of the season. They've done a lot of playing already. Make sure they rest their bodies as much as possible. Make sure when it comes time to practice that they're getting their cuts in, they're being efficient. No need for a 3-hour practice. Come out here, get your cuts in, take some ground balls, and hone in on your skills.
A former minor league baseball player, John Barfield, understanding kind of from that side, huh? Fouled it off. Might have hit her in the body, but she obviously was swinging and fouled it off. And this is actually UCF's Damara Bajan. So Bajan is the hitter, the 5'10" freshman from Delta, British Columbia.
This UCF team really relying on their freshmen. Graduated 10 seniors last year. A tremendous amount of talent moving out of that program, but a tremendous amount of talent also moving in. So look to see UCF be up and coming.
Bajan pops out to the first baseman. 1 down in the 7th inning. And now Linnea Goodman. And the most unusual situation probably that Coach Lourdes Gillespie has faced is the fact that she just did not have that one stud pitcher coming in. She usually has 2 per year, one kind of going on the way out and one kind of up and coming. That situation just wasn't there for her this year.
That's true, and ideally, as a head coach, you want to be able to recruit a freshman pitcher that's going to be able to come in and be dominant initially, but that's not always the case. And we've seen so much growth already from Aaliyah White. She doesn't throw as hard as Mackenzie Audis does, but she definitely has the potential to do so. So it'll be interesting to see how she continues.
Was that a changeup or a drop ball?
Beautiful changeup there from Emily Watson. Another pitcher that has progressed throughout this season and throughout her career.
That one's in there for a strike. And Coach Barfield has said he has never had a pitcher with so much movement on all of her pitches, and they move in different directions. This made such a huge jump this past year. Part of that was really getting in shape. I mean, she really is well conditioned. 1-2 count now for Linnea Goodman. And we mentioned it right at the outset that if UCF was going to have some success, they would have to have it from this young lady here, the leadoff hitter. She was aggressive early, got a good swing on an early pitch, but just unable to get on base so far. 0 for 3. Pops this one up. Not playable. The count remains at 1-2 strikes. As we mentioned, Watson has 4 strikeouts and 1 walk. Came in at 296 on strikeouts. The number 2 pitcher in the league, Lydia Ritchie of ECU, 138. I mean, that's the difference between Emily and the rest of the league in terms of strikeouts. Now, these other pitchers are effective, but nobody has struck out hitters at the rate of Emily Watson this year. So the count's still at 1-2. And again, as you mentioned, give credit to UCF hitters for raising the pitch count a little bit in this game.
Absolutely, and UCF doing exactly what we talked about earlier in this game was going to be a key to their success, even though it hasn't quite panned out for them this game. They've been early.
And a comebacker to the pitcher. And Emily Watson able to complete that play. And Goodman is out. And here's Megan Greenwell, who has a couple of hits in the ball game. Both of the infield variety. Kind of a ginger throw to first. But she got it done. And there are 2 down.
And Watson has had a little bit of trouble feeling her position today, but has been able to make the majority of the plays that have come back at her.
Greenwell ran up on it and laid off, but it's a strike. 0-1 count. 3-0 Tulsa with the lead. Riley Spell with a 2-run home run for Tulsa in the second. Another run, an unearned run in the 5th. And that's been it. That one's in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. UCF has left 8 on base so far. And it would be an interesting end to the game if Emily Watson gets her first 1-2-3 inning here in the 7th, because UCF has had multiple base runners on a couple of occasions and at least 1 base runner in every inning. The 1-1 popped left side, and Maggie Withy makes the catch, and the Golden Hurricane victorious over UCF. They capture game 1 of this series, and Tulsa goes to 15-1 in the league. UCF drops to 9-7 overall records. Tulsa 37-13, and UCF goes to 27-22. Shutout number 12 for Emily Watson as Tulsa wins 3-0 over the UCF Knights. Back with more from Tulsa in a moment.
Access to traditional prosthetics for kids is challenging. At Luminous, my goal is really to give them a chance to chase their dreams and to instill confidence so that they can go after whatever they want.
De ver o sonho meu, do meu filho, sendo realizado. Isso não tem preço.
The labs at UCF were so instrumental. I couldn't be in a better place. This is where I call my home.
University of Tulsa, a top 50 private institution.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Access to traditional prosthetics for kids is challenging. At Luminous, my goal is really to give them a chance to chase their dreams and to instill confidence so that they can go after whatever they want.
De ver o sonho meu, do meu filho, sendo realizado. Isso não tem preço.
The labs at UCF were so instrumental. I couldn't be in a better place. This is where I call my home.
University of Tulsa, a top 50 private institution.
The Tulsa Golden Hurricane has now won 11 in a row as they go to 37-13 on the year, 15-1 in the American Athletic Conference. The Hurricane has already won the regular season championship in the American, but they continue to put distance between them and some of the others in the league. UCF drops to 9-7 on the season, and they came into this weekend just one game behind Houston for the number 2 seed, so that will dampen their efforts to get that number 2 spot in the upcoming American Athletic Conference tournament, which is coming up in Greenville, Mississippi, Greenville, North Carolina. That's coming up. ECU is hosting it coming up in just a couple of weeks, but in the meantime, the final weekend of the regular season for both of these teams, and UCF at 9-7, Tulsa now 15-1 on the season. So the Golden Hurricane victorious, winning their 37th of the year. And let's go down to the field now as Sidney Gearbrecht has the head coach of the Golden Hurricane and the starting pitcher as well.
I'm down here with winning coach Barfield and winning pitcher Emily Watson. Emily, you didn't have the normal 1, 2, 3 innings that you're used to, had to throw a lot of pitches. Tell me what your mentality was going through this game with a team that was hitting you hard and hitting you a little bit earlier.
I was just taking it one pitch at a time, just trusting my defense and just trying to mainly make my defense work.
And what are you looking forward to most of the conference tournament? Obviously, you guys have clinched the regular season title. Congratulations.
Thank you. We're just looking forward to winning every inning, winning every phase of the game, and just do the best we can and play.
And congratulations on your shutout today. Great pitching performance. And Coach, you said earlier in this game you had a lot to play for. What are you looking forward to most, finishing this series and then going into conference tournament?
Yeah, I don't think we played our best game today. I don't know what it was. We kind of figured out with Emily. She's putting pressure on a thumb in a place where she shouldn't. She figured that out in the last inning. So hopefully that makes a difference on her next performance. But I'm just looking to get back to playing that crisp game. Sometimes when you see a pitcher for the first time, you don't have a very good idea what you want to do or what you think that pitcher is going to do to you. So now we've seen her, so hopefully we can do a better job against her next time.
And what is going to be your offensive plan next time going through the rest of the weekend?
Well, I think we just, we want to keep our minds clear, and have a plan early in the count. And, don't be trying to swing at both sides of the plate. Figure out, where we want to attack. And, I'm always happy when a hitter swings at the pitchers that they want to swing at. When we start swinging at the pitchers that the pitcher wants you to swing at, that's when we get in trouble.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach, for your insight, and congratulations to both of you on the win.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
All right, Sydney, thank you very much. The Golden Hurricane victorious as Emily Watson gets her 12th shutout of the year. It was an 8-hitter, and she ended up stranding 8 UCF players. The Knights had their chances, but Tulsa able to turn them back, and, of course, got the 2-run home run from Riley Spell. That one leaving the ballpark to give TU the early 2-0 lead. For Scott Railing and Martin Winterstrom, our producers, and for Director Carl Harper, and for Sidney Gearbrecht, I'm Bruce Howard. So long from Tulsa, the Hurricane victorious in Game 1.